17 and verses 25. Let's rush that. 17 verses 25. And there, we'll read. It says, a foolish son is a grief to his father, and bitterness to her that bear him. So if you fail to train your child, the result is a foolish, to end up with a foolish child, who will end up giving you a little headache, isn't it? So, let's go to the name. I may kind of get into disorganized, but it's hope you can follow. I love using arrows a lot. The name ICHABOD means inglorious. Let's go to the book of Patriarchs and Prophets. 585 paragraph 5. The name inglorious. If you look at in this sense is something negative, isn't it? Negative, meaning without. Without what? Without glory. Glorious, that is glory. So without glory here. So ICHABOD means inglorious or without glory. And let's go to the book of 1 Samuel. This one you read it at your free time. Let's see if we'll stand there. 1 Samuel, chapter 4, verses 21. That was the Philistines, and the Israelites were totally dismayed. If you look at Exodus, God tells them that to fight for them. But now this time around in the book of 1 Samuel chapter 4, we see that the Philistines smiting the Israelites because the glory of God had departed. So there's something I'm going to look at very important today, and that is what led to ICHABOD, which is the major thing. What led to ICHABOD? What led to this name being given to what? To this child. What led to ICHABOD? Let's go to the book of 1 Samuel chapter 3. You can go back and read 1 Samuel chapter 2, 3, 4. There are a lot of things for us to learn. But we know a few verses here and there for the purpose of time. Chapter 4, verses 12 to 14. Who is there?
There ran a man of Benjamin out of the army, and came to Shiloh the same day with his clothes rent, and with earth upon his head. And when he came, lo, Eli sat upon a seat by the wayside, watching, for his heart trembled for the ark of God. And when the man came into the city and told it, all the city cried out. And when Eli heard the noise of the crying, he said, What meaneth the noise of this tumult? And the man came in hastily and told Eli. Now Eli was 98 years old, and his eyes were dim, that he could not see. And the man said unto Eli, In that day I will perform against Eli all things which I have spoken concerning his house. When I begin, I will also make an end. For I have told him that I will judge his house forever for the iniquity which he knoweth, because his sons made themselves vile, and he restrained them not. And therefore I have sworn unto the house of Eli, that the iniquity of Eli's house shall not be purged with sacrifice, nor offering forever. And Samuel lay until the morning, and opened the doors of the house of the Lord. And Samuel feared to show Eli the vision.
Thank you. I want to go to verse 13. We see something there. Why God was going to pass judgment. Why? Because Eli restrained not his sons, isn't it? You're looking at something, train a child that will turn out to be a foolish one. A foolish son will give you headache at the end of in the latter days. So here we see Eli, as a high priest, as a father, he failed to restrain his own sons. And we shall see that the worst came their way. Don't you stop? There is something that always take us, let me say in the community, as we shall read. The kids are always left to their mothers, isn't it? To be the ones to train them. And then Ellen White says a different thing. That the whole thing of training is for both parents, for both the father and the mother. That's why I read the book of Proverbs. Chapter 1, verses 8. Someone can actually quickly read for us. Chapter 1, verses 8. Who is there?
Mwana wange ulira okuyigirizanga kwa kitaawo otoba mu tteeka lya nnyoko.
Then he talks of the instruction of the what? Of the father, as well as the law of the mother. So now we are seeing two people actually being involved in what? In teaching the young members of the family. Because the child doesn't belong to only the mother. Because what the father is doing in most cases, they look at providing for the family and they stop right there. And they forget that apart from just providing for the family, yes, you have looked for the money, you have paid the bills, you have paid, for the fees, you have provided medication and so forth. But there is also training, which is very important. Something like neglect, but it's very, very, very important. And we are looking here, we are looking at Eli. This is a father, not a mother. In Adventist Home, page 224, paragraph 1 and 2. The entire chapter, it says the kind of husband not to be. Are we together? I'm really very grateful that there we have a lot of men because this message is to them as well as Pastor Ladies. It says, in most families, there are children of various ages, some of whom need not only the attention and wise discipline of the mother, but also the stern yet affectionate influence of the father. Are you getting something right? It says, few fathers consider this matter in due importance. Abasajja baleka ennyo ki bamaama okola guno omulimu okutraininga abaana. Yet at the end of the day, when the kid turns out to be foolish, the kid is pointed to the what? To the mother. Bagamba lawo osiriwa ki? Bamaama we bwannyoko oyo. Omwana talina amagezi alinga ki? Alinga maama we. But when the men have neglected their wife, they are what? Amen. It says, they fall into neglect of their own duty and thus heap grievous burdens upon the mother. At the same time, feeling at liberty to criticize and condemn her actions according to their what? Their judgment. Under his heavy sense of responsibility and censure, the poor wife and mother often feels guilty and remorseful for that which she has done innocently and what? Ignorantly. And frequently, when she has done the very best thing possible under the circumstances. Omwana wamulekedde mama, she has a double burden. I'm not very mama, I'm not very tata. I thought this, the thing of today, things have changed. You find that a mother does everything. She has to look for money. I know about a minute. I know paying the bills. No more training. And you ask yourself, where's the mother? Where's the father? Yeah, you are. Okay, let's continue. Where are we? It says, yet when her wearisome efforts should be appreciated and approved, and her heart made glad, she is obliged to walk under a cloud of sorrow and condemnation because her husband, while ignoring his own duty, expects her to fulfill both her own and his to his satisfaction, regardless of preventing what? Circumstances. Something quite interesting here. She says, when the father comes back home and the kid is making a lot of noise, the baby is crying. Instead of carrying the baby and soothing the baby, all they say is, here mother, take your child. And she asks, is it not his child as well as hers? Is he not under natural obligation to patiently bear his part of the burden of rearing his children? So much you have to continue and read these things. Well, now that is very clear. But they also have their own burdens. This anyway, when time of judgment comes, the mother will have to come with her what? With her children. And the question will be, where are the children I gave you to raise in case they are lost? But now what about the father? It is not about the mothers also. The fathers also will be what? They will be judged. That's why the also of Eli was judged. Let's go to Adventist Home also. 211. Paragraph 2 to 4. Yeah, but I'll read just the last paragraph. It says the home is an institution of God. God designed the family circle. Father, mother, and children should exist in this world as a family. And it says in paragraph 3, his name, husband, is the true definition of a husband. Houseband. Band is to bind. The father is meant to bring the family members together. That's why if you go down to paragraph to page 212, she talks of the father being the high priest. If it is time for morning and evening devotion, the father is meant to come together with his family and present them before God. You are meant to bring the family together. If it means discipline, you should what? Discipline the little ones. That's why she says in paragraph 4. She says in paragraph 4, thank you. She says, the wife looks to him for love and sympathy and for aid in training of the children, and this is right. So the father does have a role in training of the young members of the family. Which we see that what? This man Eli failed to do as a father. And what resulted is what we read here. 2 verses 12. What did he say? 2 verses 12.
Now the sons of Eli were sons of Eli.
Were sons of Belial. Now if you go to the strong confidence, what this means, worthlessness. Worthless. Wicked. Is this what we want for our little ones? Of course not. Wicked, evil, ungodly, and of course foolish. This is what resulted. The sons became sons of what? Of devil. The book of John chapter 8. Verses 44, what does it tell us? Ye are of your father, what?
The devil.
Who was a murderer from the what? From the beginning. It says he performed his lust. Of course, we shall sell these sons, Phinehas and Ophni, ended up being the worst at the tabernacle. So, what happened is that these sons turned out to be sons of devil. And then, if you are trained in God's way, then you would have had what we say in the book of Proverbs, chapter 1, verses 7. Then also Job, chapter 28, verses 28. Here it tells us that to fear God is what?
It's the beginning of
Wisdom.
it.
I may not read all the scriptures because I don't want to take a lot of time. But you write them down so that you can go back and read. You have to be like the Barbara said it. Go back and study the things once again, that they may be fully established in our minds. Amen. 1 Timothy chapter 3, verses 2. Verses 2. Here she says, okay, Paul says, a bishop then must be blameless, the husband of one wife, vigilant, sober, of good behavior, given to hospitality, up to teach. Then verses 4 and 5. One that ruleth well his own house, having his children in subjection with all brevity. For if a man know not how to rule his own house, how shall he take care of the church of God? My brethren, this is something that we should take very well. Very important. Like the high priest told to rule his own house, and there's no way to also be able to rule the household of God. And sure, most of these things they begin from home. Satan is attacking what? Marriage. Because it is a twin institution of what? Of the Sabbath. It was instituted at the Garden of Eden, as well as the what? As well as the Sabbath. That's why we hear a lot of LGBT. Because he has to first of all perfect what is called marriage. Then he comes into the what? To the Sabbath. Some marriage never still, we as Christians may have, we may not have this thing of LGBT. Let me say the present circle. But still, Satan has all bringing in what? Perverse ways. And you may do it through what? Failing to restrain your own children. Nothing begins from home. Charity begins from home. The members of the family are the very simple come and make up the what? Make up the church congregation. Sure. So if there is anything, any problem at home, the same thing has to come in church. If there is an at home, you are not at par with one another, there is no peace. The same thing comes into the what? To the church of God. Sure. So restraining a child, no matter if he or she is not restrained from home, the same traits of character come into the church. A woman has no discipline, running around during the period of divine pegama, when we should be in that solemn period, no sitting God. The child is bringing what? Destruction, why of course training us from our home. Okay, back to what we were reading. I said 1 Samuel chapter 4, verses 18. Verses 18. Then we shall read 27. 29. Verses 18 says, 1 Samuel chapter 4, verses 18. The Bible says, and it came to pass, when he made mention of the ark of God, that he fell from the seat, backward by the side of the gate, and his neck brake, and he died. For he was an old man and heavy, and he had judged Israel 40 years. Chapter 2, 27. Chapter 2 says, and there came a man of God unto Eli, and said unto him, Thus saith the Lord, did I plainly appear unto the house of thy father, when they were in Egypt, in Pharaoh's house? And did I choose him out of all the tribes of Israel to be my priest, to offer upon my altar, to burn incense, to wear an ephod before me? And did I give unto the house of thy father all the offerings made by fire of the children of Israel? Wherefore keep ye at my sacrifice, and at my offering which I have commanded in my habitation, and honorest thy sons above me, to make yourselves part with the chiefest of all the offerings of Israel, my people. very much. So there is something else that you see here. Unrestrained what? Appetite. Beginning right from the what? From the father to the sons. If you read in Hebrews 5:76, in relation to this, I'll read paragraph 2, the last bit, but we'll continue to paragraph 4. She says, the sons of Eli, instead of realizing the solemnity of this symbolic service, only thought how they could make it a means of self-indulgence, appetite. It says, not content with the part of the peace offerings allotted them, they demanded an additional portion. And the great number of these sacrifices presented at the annual feast gave the priests an opportunity to enrich themselves at the expense of the people. They not only demanded more than their rate, but refused to wait even until the fat had been burned as an offering to God. They persisted in claiming whatever portion pleased them, and if denied, threatened to take it by what? By violence. We see, first of all, they are oppressing people. Again, because they were not trained in the right path they should take, they end up oppressing people of God as priests, because they were made priests. Then unrestrained appetite, famine. Eli, he was very fat, heavy. God says, and you have made yourself what? Fat is my offering. Why? Because what? He was indulging in appetite. I think just summer, we shall go and sit in this time. That's okay, myself. So we see that Eli ended up being fat, heavy, because of this unrestrained what? Appetite. If you remember what Joan was explaining, how meat eating affects the system. When you receive that shocking news, what happened? He just fell and he died there. And the Bible says he was what? He was heavy. He was fat. He was old. His eyes were dim. All those come as a result of meat eating. Appetite. These people were taking people's meat, even the little that was given to them. They were like, no, this is not enough. Because look at the Levites, these were few people. And look at these many Israelites bringing their offerings to these people. That was more than enough meat for them, isn't it? But still they wanted more and more meat. Now let's go to Sydney. Something with meat eating. Sydney, 382. Paragraph 3. 382. That is councils on orphan diet. 382. But I want us to begin with 383, paragraph 1. Let's begin with that one. 383, paragraph 1. It is counsels on diet and foods. That's the book. She says, those who claim to believe the truth are to guard carefully the powers of body and mind, so that God and his cause will not be in any way dishonored by their words or actions. Because of this, you'll have improper reasoning and judgment. So your words can bring dishonor unto God. It says the habits and practices are to be brought into subjection to the will of God. We are to give careful attention to our diet in these last days. We are Seventh Day Adventists, as present truth believers, we know our diet that has been prescribed for us, isn't it? This is the original diet that we have to go back to if we want to have a clear mind that will perceive God's words, that will make us understand, that will make us reason with God in a proper way and make appropriate judgment. It says, it has been clearly presented to me that God's people are to take a firm stand against meat eating. Would God for 30 years give his people a message that if they desire to have pure blood, if really Eli had pure blood, pure blood, he wouldn't have had what? This show. Remember, God had first of all already warned him of what was coming this way, but because of them repenting still, that was his fate. Is to give us pure blood and clear minds. If Eli was in his right mind, in his right senses, he would have trained his sons. It says, they must give up the use of flesh meat. If it did not want them to eat this message, would God for 30 years give his people that message that if they desire to have pure blood at their minds, they must give up the use of flesh meat? If it did not want them to eat this message, it's saying that God, if God did not want this case people, would he really have blood and give us what? This message of meat eating that we should discard it? It says, by the use of flesh meat, the animal nature is strengthened. And the spiritual nature is done what? Is weakened. That's why with these sons, their spiritual nature was what? Was totally weakened. That they could not regard the work of God as something very solid. It was nothing to them, it was trash to them. Now let's go to 382 paragraph 3. We shall add on what she says here, that the animal nature is done what? The animal propensities are strengthened. 382 paragraph 3. can read it from paragraph 1, but I want to read this paragraph. She says, those who indulge in meat eating, tea drinking, and gluttony are sowing seeds for a harvest of pain and death. That's the result. The unlawful food placed in the stomach strengthens the appetite that war against the soul, developing the lower propensities. What is developed here? The lower propensities. The animal passions are done what? Are strengthened, as Master was explaining about. If you look at the lives of animals, the animals, they don't mind. They can meet what? Anywhere. If you look at chicken, if you look at cows, they do it anywhere, isn't it? But their fellow animals are looking at them, but not. They don't care, isn't it? That's the animal mind. So it is the same. The lower propensities of man are also lowered. The lowered are strengthened. It says, a diet of flesh meat tends to develop animalism. A development of animalism lessens spirituality, rendering the mind incapable of understanding truth. That's why because we're indulging what? In meat eating. Our vessels, the blood vessels, are clogged, but we cannot even understand the word of God. Let's say for these sons of Eli indeed practiced animal what? Animalism. Let's go to the book of 1 Samuel. 1 Samuel chapter 2, verses 22 to 25. Are we there? Okay, it says, now Eli was very old and had all that his sons did unto all Israel, and how they lay with women that assembled at the door of the tabernacle of the word. The congregation, imagine, Bali was calling on the word at the sanctuary, at the temple of God. Like I might say that one thing led to another and to another. One thing like this, just failing to train the what? The sons. Imagine all the sins that led to all the sins that followed. Perverted appetite, perverted reasoning, laying with women, animalism, worthlessness, wicked, evil, ungodly foolishness. All these things came as a result of just one thing. I was continuing. 22. And he said unto them, why do ye such things? For I hear of your evil dealings by all these people. Name my signs, for it is no good report that I hear. He made the Lord's people to transgress. God's people to transgress. So here we see now the transgression is what? It is now continuing from just us, from just members of the family, now spreading to the what? To the congregation, isn't it? Right here, transgression of the nation, or the nation. Or God's people transgressing. But you see about God's glory departing from Israel. We shall come back here. Keep this in our minds as I come back there. I want us to read 578 paragraph 1. 578 paragraph 1. If you remember where we read, was it here? He talked of Eli honoring his sons above him, isn't it? Now, if you honor someone above another, it's because he exalts this person more than the other, isn't it? So God was complaining how Eli was honoring his children above him, or that become his what? His gods. 578 of. Okay? 578. Paragraph 1.
God judged Eli with honoring his sons above the Lord. Eli had committed the offering appointed by God as a blessing Israel to be made a thing of abhorrence, rather than bring his sons to shame with their impious and abominable practices. Those who follow their own inclination, in blind affection for their children, indulging them in the gratification of their selfish desires, and do not bring to bear the authority of God to rebuke sin and correct evil, make it manifest that they are honoring their wicked children more than they honor God. They are more anxious to shield their reputation than to glorify God, more desirous to please their children than to please the Lord and to keep his service from every appearance of evil.
So here, Eli made his sons his what? His gods. Isn't it? So whom was he serving? Because they were called children of what? Of Belial. So he was serving who? He was serving Satan. You get it? You see how kids can make us serve Satan? Indirectly, without our knowledge. Because they are honoring what the kids want. You know, this thing is very common. With them, we say the young kids, in most cases they tend to cry when they want something. Like seriously, they will pray and pray and pray. Because you as a mother, you have that sympathy. You're giving no much on national child, even if it's not good. After all, the kid is what? It's crying. They enjoy it. The mother. Let me say parents. I don't want to use the word mothers. You're the one who has to decide for what? Parents, let me say the willpower of their kids. Why no salida woman and China what they should have, what they should eat, what they should play with. It is yours to decide. This tendency of kids being destructive. They won't know in the house. She says this should not also be what? Promoted. Actually, toys that are durable. Toys that they will play with without even having to what? To break them. Some said they have to decide for your child. If you fail to decide for your child and then the child is not to decide for you, then you are serving that child instead of that child being what? Serving you. That child becomes your master. She says this thing is common nowadays. Let's see in PP 578. 578, paragraph 3. You read 579, paragraph 1 in the meantime, but I'm just reading this.
Paragraph 3. Eli did not manage his household without God. According to God's rules for family government, he followed his own judgment. The fond father overlooked the faults and sins of his sons in their childhood, flattering himself that after a time they would outgrow their evil tendencies. Many are now making a similar mistake. They think they know a better way of training their children than that which God has given in His word. They foster wrong tendencies in them, urging as an excuse they are too young to be punished. Wait till they become older and can be reasoned with. Thus, wrong habits are left to strengthen until they become second nature. The children grow up without restraint, with traits of character that are a lifelong curse to them and are liable to be reproduced in others.
Thank you. Sorry, I will say, Amani, you have left the kids themselves, but they will do it. They will train themselves. When they grow old, they will live their evil tendencies. But then if you try the city life, there are neighbors. The kids will go and learn whatever you're told to teach them. They will go and learn the worst things from the neighbors. As they play with other kids, they learn something from there. If the neighbors' kids are evil, that's what they will also want. End up learning. Kids are left to watch cartoons, LGBTs and cartoons nowadays. That's what they will learn. They'll find climate change in cartoons. That's when they will learn. That's what they will learn. They'll start what? Protesting. They'll go to the streets and start protesting. So I can say to leave the kids themselves, they will definitely train themselves. And always what comes out is not good. Because what came out of Ophini and Phinehas, was not good. This is always evil training. There's nothing good here that comes out. So a mother, a father, they have to train their what? Their children. Amen? Amen. Let's go back there. That's Revelation of the Nation. PP 579, paragraph 2. What do we see there?
Because of his position, his influence was more extended than if he had been an ordinary man. His family life was imitated throughout his ways. The painful results of his negligence, his loving ways, were seen in thousands of homes. We are molded by his example. The children are indulged in evil practices, while the parents learn a profession of religion. The truth of God is brought into reproach. The best test of the Christianity of a home is the type of character begotten by its influence. Actions speak louder than the most positive profession of godliness. Its professors of religion, instead of putting forth honest, persistent, and painstaking efforts to bring up a well-ordered household as a witness to the benefits of faith in God, they are lax in their government and indulgent to the evil desires of their children. They are doing as did Eli, and are bringing disgrace for the cause of Christ and ruin upon themselves and their household. But great as are the evils of parental unfaithfulness under any circumstance, they are tenfold greater when they exist in the families of those appointed as teachers of the people. When these fail to control their own household, they are by their own example misleading many. The guilt is as much greater than that of others as their position is more responsible.
Thank you very much. So you always say Eli was the high priest. Because of his example and his sons, thousands of homes in Israel started practicing the same thing. They left their kids to do whatever they wanted. And the worst came in that God's cause was what? Was destroyed. So it is the same thing as we have ministers. By the way, 1 Peter chapter 2, verses 9 says that we are what? We are a royal priesthood. Meaning each individual here is a what? Is a priest. So the thing is, what example are you portraying outside there? What example, when other people look at you, what example do they take in? Because they may end up taking the wrong example that is going to be specific. Your kids are so unruly. You are an elder in the church, they have no respect for the house of God. Seriously, you are a minister. Never know about seriously. Ask your God, ask yourself, what are you portraying? Because the next time it will happen that also other people will take up the what? The example. Amendment 8, paragraph 3 of 50.
It says, yet Eli did not manifest the fruits of true repentance. He confessed his sin, he confessed his guilt, but failed to renounce the sin. Year after year, the Lord laid his threatened judgments. Much might have been done in those years to redeem the failures of the past, but the aged priest took no effective measures to correct the evils that were polluting the sanctuary of the Lord and leading thousands in Israel to grief. The forbearance of God caused Hophni and Phinehas to harden their hearts and to become still bolder in transgression. The messages of warning and reproof to his house were made known by Eli to the whole nation. By this means he hoped to counteract in some measure the evil influence of his past neglect. But the warnings were disregarded by the people as they had been by the priests. The people of surrounding nations also, who were not ignorant of the iniquities openly practiced in Israel, became still bolder in their idolatry and pride. They felt no sense of guilt for their sins, as they would have felt had the Israelites preserved their integrity. But a day of retribution was approaching. God's authority had been set aside, and his worship neglected and despised, and it became necessary for him to interpose that the honor of his name might be maintained.
Thank you very much. See, apart from the thing moving over to other Israelites, it also had to move over to other what? To other nations. It has made a know of something. I think it was a Kenyan radio station. It was trying to put up the scandals that happened in the ICHABOD church. Our pastors were fighting over certain issues. But imagine, these presenters who are not even Adventists, you are making what should I say? They was making fun of what? Of the Adventist church. And imagine thousands and thousands of people listening to this radio station. What are they also going to take in? They will take in a bad image when it comes to Adventism. So the cause of God, what happens in our houses, in our households, with our family members, it can easily spread to other nations because they look at us people who are not of integrity, who are not being true to their God. And seriously, there's no way they can respect their God. Yet back then they knew the God of Israel as a powerful God that had of the wonders they had performed in leading these people to Egypt. But now this time around they are beholding something different. And this is what even propelled them to go ahead and come and fight the Israelites, the Philistines. But now someone will be like, seriously, young lady, you are presenting all this, but you have no experience. Have you had any shout? Of course, no, isn't it? Have not had any. Someone will be like, seriously, taking care of a child is very hard. You need to experience this by your own self. But really, we have more than enough examples to show us that this thing is possible. We can take care of these kids and groom them up in the way of the Lord. If it were not possible, these things may have been written down. Let's read of our father, Abraham. Let's go to the book of Genesis 18. Most of us here don't have any kids, isn't it? But at some point you have been mothers. It is not unless I've given back to one that I'm a mother or you're a father. But if you have had any child in your custody, you take care of that child for maybe even a day. There is some impact that must have left in that child's life. That's already grooming. In the African tradition, a child is not groomed by only the parent. Back then, the entire society had a hand in raising a child, isn't it? The entire community had a hand. If you found the child in the way doing something evil, you had a right to punish that child. You get it? So all of us here, we have a role to play. Genesis 18 verses 19, what does it say?
For I know him that he will command his children and his household after him. And they shall keep the way of the Lord to do justice and judgment. The Lord may bring upon Abraham that which he has spoken of him.
If I may ask, when this thing was written, had Abraham given brought forth a child. Did he have Isaac at that point? No. Because if you go and read about Isaac being born, that is in verses what? In verses 20 or 21. Yeah, it is in verses 20, chapter 21. That's when Abraham is talked about having what? Isaac being born. So in chapter 18, he didn't have any child. But God said that I know Abraham will instruct his house. This Abraham was able to instruct his house. Last time when we were looking at education, this man had very many people in his home. There were very, very many, but he was able to instruct them in the right way. That's why we see that he could even trust his servant. I don't know what his name was, Eliezer? Yeah, Eliezer. He could trust Eliezer to go and bring for Isaac a wife, because he had trained them in the way of the Lord. Let's look at another example. Job. In the book of Job chapter 1 and verses 5.
And it was so in the days of their feastings were gone about. Job sent and sacrificed them, and rose up early in the morning and offered burnt offerings according to the number of them all. But Job said, it may be that my sons have sinned and cast God in their hearts. Thus did Job continue.
Thank you very much. So you always say that Job, young for them, you will not do with their kids 24/7. But it was like Sarah said, these kids may be there alone, they will be married, they will cast God in their hearts. So he had an obligation to wake up every morning, offer sacrifices before God, that God may do what? May forgive them. And there's something that you write here for fathers too. Let's go to Adventist.
200 says, yes, all members of the family center in the father. He is the lawmaker, illustrating in his own manly, bearing the standard virtues, energy, integrity, honesty, patience, courage, diligence, and practical usefulness. The father is in one sense the priest of the household, laying upon the altar of God the morning and evening sacrifice. The wife and children should be encouraged to unite in this service, offering and also to engage in a song of praise. Morning and evening, the father, as the priest of the household, should confess to God the sins committed by himself and his children through the day. Those sins which have come to his knowledge, and also those which are separate, of which God's eye alone has taken cognizance, should be confessed. This rule of action, zealously carried out by the father when he is present, or by the mother when he is absent, will result in blessings to the family.
Thank you very much. So the thing is, you have to do your part. Train your children, pray for them, confess their sins, and trust me, she says what will come out will result in blessings to the family. If you're already doing all these things, if you're making God to have his own way in your life, you can't fail to bring up kids who love God. Kids will obey what? Who obey what God tells them. But we say, we look around today, it turns out the kids of pastors, the sons and daughters of pastors, they doing the abominable things. You find out those very kids are the ones that are what? You find are into maybe LGBT, maybe they're the prostitutes, maybe are the thieves, the oppressors, the politicians oppressing people, and all that. Why? Because their pastors are following their faith. And as we have seen in Timothy, if you have not taken care of your house, there's no you can take care of the what? Of God's people. God cannot entrust you with his own people if your house has failed. Amen? Let's also read PK 482. This is about Daniel and his companions.
The scripture says, Daniel and his associates had been trained by their parents to habits of strict purpose. They had been taught that God will hold them accountable for their capabilities, and that they must never dwarf or equal their powers. This education was to Daniel and his companions the means of their preservation amidst the demoralizing influences of the court of Babylon. Strong were the temptations surrounding them in that corrupt and luxurious court, but they remained at the edge. No power, no influence could sway them from the principles they had learned in early life by studying the word and the works of God.
Thank you very much. So you were saying that these men had been trained by their parents to habits of strict temperance. What does the Bible tell us? Train the what? Train a child in a way that he should go, and when he grows old, do not do what? Do not depart from it. So it is the same thing. These boys were taken when they were what? Is it teenagers? But because they had been trained by their parents, even in Babylon, where they were surrounded by all the contamination, idolatry, and all those temptations that came in, they remained true to their what? Their God. Ellen White says that we need the what? The Daniels, and the Josephs in this what? these last days. But really, if we are to bring forth the Daniels and the Josephs, then we should look at what is called training. Education, by the way, has made a new of that. Education. What education are you giving to your what? To your child. If you look at the Millerites, is it the Millerites? They were against the story. When they were in the bush, they would send their, okay, they were in hiding. Should I say that? Yeah?
Yes.
They were in the wilderness. Thank you very much. They were in the wilderness. They would send forth their children to go to schools and preach the word of God. But now, these kids came and they would do the work of God and they would go out without being what? Contaminated. Why? Because there was what? Some training. There was that training that they could not depart from. So it is the same. Negative. We are looking at this thing about the education, really. Take a short towards the education. Again, I put down a teaching. That's why I put down a teaching. And there's no way that child is going to end up to be a Daniel and Joseph. That's why we're going to teach child, let me say to that village for a month. That's not enough. Okay, now with the Babylon and the same things, you know, all the other former things like just come back. So training has to be from when the child is still in the stomach, still in the womb. When it's still in the what? In the womb. That's where training begins from. That's why it says, if you're pregnant, you pray. You pray with the child. As you sing hymns, the kid also comes out loving to sing hymns because that's what they'll be hearing. But they say, at a certain month, they start getting what's happening. At 4 months. At 4 months. Thank you very much. At 4 months, babela bategera what's happening. Bamubera mukulwana buli kaseera, naye avaayo is a what? He's a fighter. If you like quarreling, the kid also comes out first. Because at 4 months they're getting what's happening in their what? In their surrounding. They'll come out when they like singing. When you read the Bible, share with them, they come out when they like that. That's why when they look at the child, they really sit down and listen. They're very interested. Really. Me, I should give an example of a child here who came and really was very young but paid attention. Joanna. Nona Miro really makes it. This is a living example, I must say. She makes it, I don't know if Joanna saw it, it's written. But she makes it, like, she makes anything that is possible to what? To take care of these kids. Joanna, this is a kid whom I don't know him, but they are godly songs. Now there's an example by the sometime to learn these hymns. These are godly songs. They are going down to Jordan and so forth, even hymns themselves in the what? In the SDM. And even you know man at of memorizing our scriptures. Watch together. Seriously, if Namiro can do this, someone if she remains now, is on the man after old age, the mother really, she will stand firm in the what? In the word of God. Which together training has begun when she was still young. This kid was in here and it was good supper. But she wasn't moving around like other kids were doing. The kid did sit there and was listening. You get it? Maybe she would not get them properly, but at least she what? She paid attention. And at least I bet she must have gone up with something. So all these things show me that it's possible. Ellen G. White did the same thing. She wrote short guidance. It is for us. Go and read the book, Messages to Young People. These were letters she was writing to her sons. And if you look at her sons, the living, those who lived, I mean, apart from those ones who died earlier, the other one, Willie and Nixon, these later became pastors in Adventism, isn't it? So my brothers and sisters, it is possible. We can raise these kids to fear God. So that we can avoid what? ICHABOD, isn't it? I mean, I thank God for today, and really, as the Bible says, we can do all things through Christ, which strengthens us. Okay, let's pray.
Father, thank you, sir. The words of the commission that you have given us. When you admonish the children of Israel, the Son of your word, you say, let themselves whatsoever the Lord has slain, they will do. Father,